Hi, Jason Schaub with Overland Cookery. Today we're in the test kitchen working on a new recipe. We've never made this before. It's going to be a vegetarian mushroom stroganoff, and we're going to be using Greek yogurt in place of sour cream to boost the protein content. The ingredients in this recipe last for up to 5 days, making it a class 3 recipe. If you're not familiar with our food perishability classification, you can check our website out at overlandcookery.com. Okay, as part of these videos, we like to treat this as a proof of concept in the sense that we're going to be using the same cookware, the same stove, everything else is conserved just as if we were in the field. That way, when we're on a trip, we know that it's going to be successful. For this particular recipe, we're going to be using standard backpacking cookware that stacks and a 2-burner stove. You can't get away with a 1-burner in this case because you have to cook the pasta as well as the stroganoff. We also have a fridge hooked up for cold storage, but a cooler would also work as well. So there's a variety of ingredients you can use when you're making stroganoff. For the pasta, we're using rotini. Now traditionally you'd use an egg noodle that's very thin, but I find that those are delicate and they can crack in dry storage. Rotini is robust, and I've had really good luck with this when we're traveling. Going down the line, we have some white wine. I like the white wine that comes in these small mini bottles. They're plastic, you can crunch them up, and you don't have to pack a whole bottle of white wine just for one recipe. We're going to be using shallot. Herbs Provence or any Italian or universal herb blend will be nice for this. Vegetable bouillon, mushrooms. We have cremini and a couple different types of oyster mushrooms in here. Butter or olive oil, Greek yogurt, and Parmesan cheese for the topping. Almost forgot, we're also using garlic today too. And a quick side note on safe food handling. We always wash our hands, that's a given, but whenever we're in the field, we like to demonstrate good hygiene, and we do that by wearing nitrile gloves. Start with bringing your pan up to a low temperature, and then work on slicing your garlic and shallots. Okay, now we're going to slice the shallot thickly, smash the garlic, chop that finely, and slice all of our mushrooms. To start cooking, place butter or olive oil in the pan over low heat and add your shallots and garlic. Cook gently until soft. Okay, I mentioned that I like to cut the mushrooms thick. I do that because I like the texture and the visual contrast that the mushrooms lend to the recipe. With cremini mushrooms and button mushrooms, you're going to want to do those like a slice. But if you have an oyster mushroom or something that's more unique looking like this, you can go ahead and leave it whole. Or slice in half lengthwise. Anything to mix things up. So once you've added the mushrooms to your shallot and garlic mixture, go ahead and cook it down to get a lot of the water out. That's going to intensify the flavor before we add the next ingredients. This step might take about 10 minutes. So in the meantime, while the mushrooms are cooking down, we're going to prepare the bouillon. If you're bringing vegetable stock, then you don't have to do this step, but we're using dry bouillon. So we're going to heat some water up in the saucepan here. Use this Tupperware that I had stored the mushrooms in and dissolve 1 bouillon cube. So while we're cooking this down, I'm thinking that now is a really good time to add the herbs. That would help really infuse the flavor into the dish. Okay, so our mushroom mixture has gotten really nice and soft. Now, we were debating going back and forth on whether or not to add flour. A lot of recipes called for it, and I understand why. You want to make a roux to help thicken the sauce. But we're using Greek yogurt, and I think it's going to be thick enough. So the next step is to deglaze the pan with the white wine. Go ahead and cook the alcohol out. That'll intensify the wine. After deglazing the mushrooms, go ahead and put the pasta on to cook, bringing the water back up to a boil. So the wine is cooked down. Next, we're going to add the Greek yogurt and our vegetable stock. Start with half and add more stock as necessary until we get the desired consistency. Smells really good. So, sorry, I'll do that one more time. So as I'm cooking this, I'm reminded of a beef stroganoff incident that we had at Cottonwood Lakes, I believe, a number of years ago. It's in the Inyo National Forest, just south of Mount Whitney. And we brought a freeze-dried, it wasn't Backpacker's Pantry, but it was like that, beef stroganoff meal. And it was inedible. We couldn't eat it. It was so bad. And it's bear country, so we ended up putting it in a bag and burying it under some rocks just outside of camp overnight so that we could collect it in the morning and not have scavengers spread the food out. But I remember watching a pack of marmots go up to inspect what we were doing, and I swear when they smelled what it was, they ran. Like the marmots didn't even want to eat the beef stroganoff. It was so bad. Hopefully this won't have the same effect. It's like curdling or separating. Let me keep the lid off to cook it down a little bit. Okay, so our pasta's just about done, and we're gonna drain it and add it to our stroganoff. A quick note, we noticed after cooking the stroganoff down with the yogurt that the yogurt kind of separated or curdled a little bit. It might be due to the temperature difference when we put it in. We're not sure. So what I did is I made a very small roux, about 1 tablespoon of a light blonde roux, so just butter and flour. Added it in to thicken it, and it really helped kind of make it all cohesive and bring everything together again. So doing this again in the future, I would definitely add the flour in at the initial stage before adding the wine to make that roux within the sauce to help prevent it from separating. So now we're just gonna add the pasta and mix to combine. You know, the important thing too is that even though the sauce separated a little bit, it's still tasting really good. Okay, we added the pasta, gave it a stir, let it heat through. It's looking really good. So we're gonna take it off the heat and serve it. If you have fresh herbs, that would definitely be indicated here. But we're trying to simplify things cooking out of the vehicle. And if you have a nice herb mixture, even if it's dried, it's gonna be really good. Okay, we're ready to go. Now it's time to taste test this recipe. The wine and the herbs is really nice with the mushroom. It's very robust. For a vegetarian dish, it has a lot of flavor. And it's creamy. It's good. It's really, really good. I think it's important that we added that roux, so we'll definitely put that in the recipe. We'll have this published on the Overland Cookery recipe blog. We'll link that down below. This is really good. Jed, you want to try it? Sure. Go.
Wow, very rich flavors. Also, using the different cuts of mushrooms kind of adds variety to the texture of the whole thing.
I can see that because they don't all cook exactly the same. Exactly. So you get some that are a little crunchier, some that are really silky smooth. Nice.
Very good.
It's good. Okay, cool. Okay, I would say this was a success. It's a really good recipe. It's important that we did it here too, because now we know that you want to make that roux and add it in as well. We would like to make these videos as helpful as possible for everyone, so go ahead and comment below. We're probably going to be using this set for most of our videos moving forward. That way we have a lot of recipes coming out for you guys, and then we'll focus on doing longer term trips as we can. But practicality dictates that we can get a lot more videos done here. In the meantime, check out the rest of our cooking demos here on YouTube. And for a full printed copy of this recipe, check our recipe blog and online store out at Overland Cookery. We have patches, stickers, and of course, our cookbook, Overland Cookery. We'll see you out there.